I know I've said it before and I'll no doubt say it again, but I think this is the most important transfer window we're going to have in this entire series. Hello and welcome to Club 6 Part 12 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we are going to be doing our season review, in which we will review arguably the best season we've had in the entire series so far. Then we have our summer transfers, although limited summer transfers, unless we have another summer of wheeler dealing, because we've only got a transfer budget of £8.5 million, despite qualifying for the Champions League and a relatively small wage budget as well. It's basically the money we had left over at the end of last season we've got again for this season. I forced myself out of Hamburg for a larger budget than that, but I ain't doing that here. I do feel like we've got arguably the best youth system in the world at the moment. The players we're pumping out, I've never seen a youth setup like it, and we had some good youth players come through at Fulham. We've been at teams. Tottenham, was it last year or the year before on Non-League to Legend, was a great youth setup, but I've never seen a youth setup like this Sevilla one in 25 plus years of playing Football Manager, and I don't plan on leaving it anytime soon, unless Barcelona or Real Madrid or Man United or something like that offers me loads of money, in which case, we've got to. But on the topic of money, I did mention in one of the most recent episodes, I forget when, that I had a pay rise and a new contract. I have had a pay rise and a new contract. So I still have 2 years remaining on the contract that I signed back in December on £41,000 a week now, plus a nice little Champions League qualifying bonus, although that wasn't for this season. That's next season onwards, apparently. I get a nice little bonus for qualifying for the Champions League, although it looks like a lot of money. And episode 1 of this series, Kev would have loved that. That would have bought 2 of his houses. But it is only like 2 and a bit weeks' wages. Although, my word, you pay a lot of tax in Spain. That's insane. Right. Let's get into the season review stuff. As we learnt last summer, the actual in-game season review starts very late. But before we get to it, there's a couple of notable points before we get that far. So firstly, we set a club record. Oh, I've already got it highlighted. Sevilla's total of 24 matches won in a season is a new team record. And if we have a look at the history of Sevilla, we have only won La Liga once before, in 1946. Finishing second this season, it's only the 5th time in the history of the football club that they've finished runner-up in La Liga. So it's one of the best seasons this club has ever had. I know they had that little spell where they won the Europa League 3 years in a row. That was a long time ago now. Sevilla are right up there, as good as we've ever been. And long may it continue. Should we go and win the league next year? That would be very pleasant. There's a couple of other bits and bobs as well. Player of the Year, Garcia got 3rd place in La Liga Player of the Year. Now, I'm not an expert when it comes to Football Manager Wonder Kids, but I hear this fella's quite good. So to have him, look how much he's earning. To have him beating out Garcia, bearing in mind he plays in the same position as well, that's not too bad, seeing Garcia as the 2nd best left winger in La Liga. And I do kind of half expect him to leave this summer. We just can't afford to offer him a huge contract. He's got a £53 million release clause. If we try and offer him a new deal, he wants to lower the release clause and increase the salary outside of our budget restraints. So I think, for me, it feels quite likely that at age 22, Garcia, someone's going to come in and offer £53 million for Garcia this summer, and he's probably going to leave. And that will be our summer transfer kitty. The other guy who might be going in those kind of circumstances is Moreno, who has been our key player as the holding midfielder ever since we've been here. He's 24 now, so maybe a little bit less likely to go, but he is now a full Spain international, made his debut for Spain this season. He's got a £51 million release clause. He's earning a huge amount of money, so again, we can't really... There you go. He's not even interested in discussing a contract anymore. He's wanted by Man United. So again, I think it's quite likely that someone's going to come in and offer £51 million for him. So we could have arguably our 2 best players ripped out of the club, but we would get over £100 million to spend as a result of that. And with the youngsters that we've got knocking around, it wouldn't be a total disaster. if we have a look, I mean, and that seems mad. That's why I'm loving this youth setup so much. But if we have a look at Moreno, first of all, potential replacements for him. So Moreno is a natural defensive midfielder. But if we have a look, yeah, we've got Horvath in there. But this guy, Pascal Ramirez, 5 years younger than Moreno, better potential than him. Yeah, you could argue that he's perhaps not ready to come into the team yet. He's not yet at that quality, but he's not far away, and he's got so much potential that I wouldn't be disgusted if we ended up having to play him, or maybe play him plus a £15 million 28-year-old replacement for a year and rotate the two and still make a profit on the Moreno deal. And then likewise, if we have a look on the left wing to see what the fallout of Garcia leaving would be. So Garcia, obviously, our best left winger. Well, for a start, Pozo is a natural left winger, so he could move over to that side and Montero could come into the team. And we saw towards the end of last season how good Montero can be and the kind of potential that he's got. So there's one option for you. We've also got Antonio Ruiz, who has loads of potential, and when we played him last season, when we first arrived, I actually remember saying that I wasn't that bothered if Garcia left then, because Ruiz was playing that well in his place. He had a little bit of a disappointing season last season, but between him and Montero and Raul, of course, who appeared through our youth setup last year with 5-star potential, made his debut for us last season, we've got a conveyor belt of players coming through to replace the ones who are leaving, and I kind of want those offers to come in. If we had £104 million in exchange for Garcia and Moreno, plus the youth players who are coming through, plus replacements we can bring in, and the money to use to strengthen other areas of the team, I genuinely think we could go and win La Liga next season. If they stay, it's going to be harder because we're going to have no transfers to bring in, and then we are just waiting for the youngsters to organically get better. But if they leave, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I did win Manager of the Year as well, which is very pleasant, beating out Rafa Benitez and that guy whose name I can't say. I don't know if that's had an impact on my reputation. Still 3.5-star reputation. Might get a bump up to 4-star in the summer. That'd be nice. And we have players in Team of the Year, although not actually in the team. We've filled the bench for Team of the Year. Real Madrid absolutely dominating Team of the Year with 10 of the 11 players. This guy is the only non-Real Madrid player, and in fact, he's 19 years old. We should probably. I think we probably have to scout him. We already have scouted him. See, this is the kind of player where if we got £100 million in, we could go and try and buy him. But I don't think we've got much of a chance. Valued at £5 million. Extremely interested in a transfer. But then we do fill the bench. Markovic, Woodenberg, Garcia, Jovic, all sitting on the bench. Even more Real Madrid players down there as well. That's ridiculous. They've got more than 11 players in the Team of the Year. They're quite dominant, aren't they? Perhaps we won't be winning anything next season. Perhaps it'll take 2 years. Jovic getting a bonus as well for being in Team of the Year. So the plan now, we'll fast forward until we get to the point where we get all the in-game season review stuff. When that comes through, it was like early June last season, and then I guess we're just waiting and seeing. We want to wait and see if those offers come in for those players. The last thing we want is for them to come in on deadline day in August, because it gives me no time to bring in replacements in, and we have to rely on youth. The perfect scenario for me is either they stay and we just build on this and we don't really strengthen the team at all this summer, that's kind of a B+ scenario, I think. Our A scenario is they're both gone by the middle of June and we've got £100 million to go into July with, and we go and do a Kev imploding transfer window and I get sacked by Christmas. That's my A scenario. We'll see what happens. All the way forward to the 9th of June, then there's been some interesting managerial shenanigans going on. I'm not a part of it, but Manchester City, their job is now available again. If you remember, 7 years ago, Pep Guardiola, after winning everything with Man City, constantly dominating the Premier League, quit and went to mid-table Tottenham. Roger Schmidt, after winning the Premier League with Man City multiple times, dominating everything, has now quit and gone to manage mid-table Tottenham. I don't know what the allure of Tottenham is for these managers who've achieved everything, but they are consistently drawing in some of the most famous and successful managerial names in world football, keeping them for 3 or 4 years and then sacking them. Because they can't do it here. I don't understand. Tottenham seems to be a bit of a poison chalice. Still got Harry Kane as captain as well. And Schuster's vice-captain. Well, we ain't getting him again, are we? If he's vice-captain there. But I haven't applied for it. I don't want to leave. And there's been no transfer news. So let's get into the end of season. Oh, what's this? No. This is a disaster. Because that changes everything. Because now if we sell £100 million off a player, we only get £30 million to spend. Right, new plan. The B+ scenario we talked about before is now our desired scenario. We don't want to sell anybody. We're just going to top up with a youngster here and there and some loans and have a very quiet summer. Hopefully, you can guarantee now we're going to sell 8 players because we're not going to be able to keep hold of them. So that's our all-time best 11. Still not much of a Kev influence on that all-time best 11. Centelles is the only name I recognise from the team that we have, and he's probably going to be moving on this summer. So we've got a lot to do to force our stars through into their all-time best team. But this is our team of the season. Player of the year, obviously Garcia, 56% of the vote. Woodenberg with 18% and Pozo with 15%. Woodenberg, I think, is, in fact, it says further down, signing of the season. I was really worried about this signing. I thought you lot were going to slaughter me for it and it was going to be a disaster. But he's come in, replaced Lindelof. He's better than Lindelof and is a superstar. What is this? I guess this is a little surprise. We have a little bit later on. Bless him. Swansea thinking they can get him for £8 million. We spent £15 million last year and he was our second best player. Oh, Swansea, you'd make me chuckle. Garcia got goal of the season back in November. Let's have a look at the goal of the season. From Garcia. Hopefully it's one of his magical screamers or maybe a free kick. Oh, it's a free kick. Let's have a look at it then. I mean, he did that 8 times this season probably. So I can handle giving it that one. Woodenberg, signing of the season. Garcia, young player of the season because he's still just 22. And this is our team of the year. Markovic is the goalkeeper. I'm not going to change his squad number. He's going to be number 2 forever because I like it. I like having a goalkeeper with number 2 now. I've changed my tune. Back 4 of Garcia, the other one. McCrory, Woodenberg and Rodriguez gets in ahead of Bustos. So there's another youngster who's forced their way properly into the first team setup this year. He'll be my starting right back next year. Moreno as the holding midfielder, Mosca and O'Neill in central midfield. Worryingly, O'Neill is another one who's wanted and has a £50 million-ish release clause. So, again, we could sell lots of players, but with that retained money that we've got, I don't want to sell any of them. And then Garcia, Valentini rather than Jovic, and Pozo as our front 3. So again, I think Valentini, probably in the second half of the season, has forced his way into my mind as my starting striker. So Jovic was a one and done, one season, and let's move him on this summer. Top scorer was Garcia with 14 goals. He also got highest average rating at 7.33. Pozo 12 assists. Moreno 92% pass completion is just ridiculous. And Garcia got most man of the match awards. Moreno, despite being a good passer, also picks up a lot of yellow cards as well. The season review, obviously we overachieved. We were supposed to finish in the top half. We finished second. We're in the Champions League next year, which is marvellous. We don't care about the Sevilla side of 2020. It's irrelevant to me. But these are our dynamics. So our team leaders are Pozo, Moreno and McCrory, with Garcia and Mateus as the highly influential ones. So potentially could see 2 of those ripped out of there this summer, maybe with O'Neill as well disappearing. So it has a potential to still be a challenging summer. Our plans for next year, we've got to be planning to qualify for the Champions League again. We've done it this year. Why wouldn't we do it every year from now on? Mosca agrees with me. Excellent stuff. We've decided we're a Champions League club. I'm safe in my job. I'm not applying elsewhere. Pre-season can be set there. And his Swan, oh bless him. It just makes me chuckle. Obviously he's not going there. That's just silly. Well, we've made it through to the 1st of July. Still very little happening. Transfer-wise, Dominguez might be leaving. Patsy Dominguez. Tottenham have come in and met his minimum fee release clause of £11.5 million. We've offered him a new contract as part of it with a higher release clause, but there's quite a lot of clubs chasing this lad. He's obviously bags of potential, but actually, to be honest, in a year and a half with us, he's not looked that special. So I'm not against getting £11.5 million for him now. I know we're not going to get a huge chunk of that put back into our transfer budget, but it does push us over the £10 million mark for potential spensies. So it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I'd obviously rather keep him because he's a youngster with potential, which is what we're building the team around. There's also a bunch of players that we've offered trials to. As usual, lots of them are old men, but we'll get some of these trialists in and see if any of them are still good enough to do a job for us. And then we've got, where are we? Our current scouted players. There's not a huge amount. It's fairly slim pickings for us this summer so far, both in terms of players in our budget. As you can see, the kind of prices we're looking at, we could maybe pick up one of these players on the Never Never. He's looking like a potential. We could pick up maybe one of these on the Never Never, but we're not going to be bringing in multiple players. And I kind of need to decide what I need, assuming nobody leaves. And that's the really difficult thing in this world of release clauses, which I am not a fan of. I think I've made that clear already. Looking at our squad, what do we actually need? We need a backup goalkeeper for Markovic because we don't have one. The one we had on loan is gone. At left back, although star ratings aren't great, Calvillo is young. So he's young, but he doesn't have a huge amount of potential. Garcia, who we had last season, has gone back, so we potentially need a left back. Centre back, I think we're fine. McCrory is going to be fine for another year. Sanya, Woodenberg, and Ventura are all young, so that's sorted. Rodriguez has got huge potential at right back. He was in the European Under-21 Championship Dream Team. He's going to be an absolute superstar for us at right back for years to come. In fact, what's his release clause? Good. It's a nice meaty release clause. That's all right then. And we've got Bustos as a backup for him, so I think we're fine at right back. Defensive midfield, we're fine as long as Moreno doesn't leave. If he leaves, then we need to replace him. And that's a theme throughout the team. Again, central midfield, as long as nobody leaves, we're fine. O'Neill, Mateus, Mosca, Moreno, we're fine as long as none of them leave. Left-hand side, we're fine as long as Garcia doesn't leave. We've got Ruiz as a backup. Pozo can play over that side as well. Right wing, I don't know. Do we go with Montero? He's got good potential, but not quite as good as Pozo. I think we're probably all right there. Pozo is the current incumbent, and Montero is backup, I think. And Lorenzo as well is another one, who, although he's an attacking midfielder, we've been playing him on the right-hand side of the attacking midfield, and he's another youngster with potential. So I don't think we need anybody there. Valentini has shown that he's good enough up front to do a job for us. Jovic, maybe not so much. Alvarez, as a youngster, maybe needs to get more game time this year. Dominguez, if he's still here, maybe needs more game time. I wouldn't be against getting a new striker, but I think our priority probably is left back, goalkeeper, and maybe a striker. But we don't need a huge amount. There's so many youngsters coming through. We'll see. We'll have a look at these trialists, see if any of them are any good, and start making some decisions from there. Well, Dominguez is gone, £11.5 million. To be honest, we've brought him in for £1.1 million, kept him here for a year and a half, sold him on for £11.5 million. Looking at that report, I wouldn't spend £11.5 million on him. So, as much as it would have been nice to keep him around, I'd rather have the money, I think. We are bringing in a backup goalkeeper, Herbert Schimmel. It's previously of Stuttgart. He's not as good as Markovic, but he doesn't need to be to sit on our bench. He's cheap, so he can come in and sit on our bench. We've just lost our head of youth development, who's gone to Chelsea. And there's a couple of players we're trying to bring in. This is one of them. He's a winger who can play on either wing. Previously of Barcelona, was on loan at Fulham last season, but has been playing regularly in La Liga for Barcelona forever. It would be handy to have him around for free on not very much money. I'm not going to be distraught if we don't get him, but he'll offer some decent competition on both wings on a 1-year contract. He would be handy, but we are competing with Fulham to try and bring him in. Fernandez wanted £230,000 a week, so he's not going to be signing for us. Wilfred Ndidi might, although there's interest from other clubs for him as well. We're battling with we're battling with Swansea. I mean, where have Swansea come from all of a sudden? But he, again, would be some decent competition for Moreno, can play in central midfield as well. And if we can bring both of them in, I know they're old men, but they are old men in the two positions of the players we're most likely to lose this summer. So it's kind of getting our short-term replacements in early who can then work with the youngsters we've got in those positions, either to rotate with them throughout the season or tutor them wherever Moreno and Garcia leave or not. They seem like two very sensible signings if we can get them in. And that will leave us with most of our wage budget maxed out and not much spensies. I don't think we're going to be doing a lot of signings this summer unless we sell some players quick. Well, indeed, he's gone to Swansea because they offered him ridiculous wages. I ask again, what on earth is going on with Swansea? Have they had a rich chairman? They've got a new chairman. I guess he's rich. It's insane that they seem to have all this money all of a sudden to be able to pay a man £120,000 a week. We can't afford to do that, and we finished second in La Liga. The Premier League's quite a rich league, I think. So we've not got him. I'm now expecting to lose out on the other guy as well. And I guess it means we can focus more in on doing what we've done well here at Sevilla so far and bringing in promising youngsters. Certainly with Dominguez leaving, I am thinking in terms of maybe bringing in another striker. This guy exists, Gabriel Henrique, who is 20 years old. He's Brazilian, a Brazilian under-20 international. He's going to take our entire budget to bring in, but he's pretty good, isn't he? So, I wonder. Let's try and do... We've got to do it on the Never Never. But let's say, I don't know, £15 million on the Never Never. And negotiate from there. Unacceptable. Oh, £20 million. We'll make an offer. We'll see what happens. But there's not really much in the way of other strikers. Or left backs, which was the other position we needed to strengthen. So I go back to, there might not be much transfer business this summer. Well, of course, we missed out on the other one as well. He's gone to Fulham. I'm just going to give up with free transfers. They just don't happen anymore for me. I don't offer enough money, I don't think. But we do have some transfer business potentially going on. Firstly, Lorenzo has gone out on loan to Bournemouth this season. He's an attacking midfielder. He deserves to play as that for a year. So he's going to go there and hopefully improve and then come back and play on the right wing for us. But we now have two strikers we're potentially chasing. Henrique, the one we looked at before, but I'm pretty sure he was probably on the screen before when I said to you, there's no other strikers, and there was this one who actually was better. And we've now made an offer for him, and he'll be even cheaper. He is much better than anyone we've got at the club at the moment. He can play as a pressing forward, which is important. And even more important is the fact that he's been scoring goals consistently in La Liga for the last 2 seasons. So we've got an offer in for Abraham, and hopefully we can bring him in. If we can get him in, I think that's a little bit closer to a finishing piece of the jigsaw, looking at the squad. If we have a proper goal-scoring striker up there, then, you know, there's not much else. We need a left-back, but left-backs are proving hard to come by. I'm waiting for my director of football to wake up and try and find me one on loan like he did last season. But I think, yeah, he's my man. Transfer target number 1, Jason Gould, still exists. He went on loan to Bordeaux last year, played some Premier League games. Maybe if we decide we need another right winger, we bring him back. Did he actually learn to speak Spanish when he was with us before? A little bit. So he's maybe an option to bring in on loan. But yeah, there's still no left back. We need a left back. Right, we have our striker, Abraham. And actually, we could get the other one as well if we can suddenly come into some money. We don't have enough to make the deal go through just yet. But I've just noticed Jovic is unhappy. Upset him, Ross. Upset him. Oh, I didn't know. Let's just try and get rid of him. Let's offer him out. Because if we can get half of his value, we could end up bringing them both in. And that would be... I'd love to bring in 2 strikers this summer. It would make me look like a total lunatic. Where are we? So he needs to be welcome to the club. The important thing about him, about Abraham, is the fact that he's a current La Liga player. So he's not going to have to come in and learn the language, which is a big issue that we've had in previous years. So let's get them all registered. and have a little look at him. So, Abraham, 22-year-old striker, former Spanish under-21 international, 4-star current ability, better than Valentini, much better than Jovic, can play as the pressing forward, leading player for most La Liga side. He's quick, he's a decent finisher, and most importantly of all, for the last 2 seasons, he's been scoring goals regularly in this division for a team that aren't very good. He's been the best player for a pretty poor Levante side. Although last year, didn't Levante do quite well? I say they were been pretty poor. Okay, they're not actually pretty poor. They've been 5th and 4th. So he's been scoring goals for one of our teams that have been competing with us for Champions League spots. I think, cracking signing. Abraham is in. And what does that do to our team report? Let's have a little look. We absolutely don't need another striker now. If we can sell Jovic and bring the Brazilian guy, and I think I'll try and sell Valentini as well, because although having said that, Alvarez is unhappy, he wants to leave, so he's probably going to be on his way as well. So it wouldn't we need to, if we can sell Alvarez and Jovic, we'll try and bring in the Brazilian guy as well. Henrique, I think his name was, but we do need a left back. A left back is now top priority, transfer target number 1, and I guess we could apply a left back filter and see what we've got. Not very much. Slim pickings. A lot of youngsters who we could bring in for potential. We've got youngsters who've got potential. It doesn't really seem logical to bring in another one. I mean, he's got a lot of potential, but it's uninspiring to me. I'd rather bring in a Brazilian striker. We'll see how this develops. This is as good as any new signing we could make. Paul O'Neill has signed a new contract, most important aspect of which is a new £91 million minimum fee release clause. He ain't going anywhere. If someone offers £91 million for him, then they can have him. There's some big clubs chasing him. We already turned down £40 million from Borussia Dortmund, which was dangerously close to his £51 million release clause. So that's him tied down for a new deal. Alves are chasing Alvarez. I mean, that works. It makes sense. And we've got an offer in for Jovic. Yes, you can just go, which means hopefully we can delay this for another week, because it would be nice to bring him in as a replacement for Jovic and Alvarez, and have 3 real top quality strikers as options for us next season. And then I'm still relying on my director of football to bring me in a left back, which he hasn't yet. Come on, director of football, I haven't got any. Go find me one on loan. Unless, of course, we just try and bring Garcia back again. Just double check. Still no left backs. Still no left backs. What was his name? Inaki Garcia. Athletic Bilbao. Do you want to come back? You had fun last year. You had a bit of a dodgy debut, but you were all right from then on. No. I can't remember if I told you Jovic left. Jovic left. £7.5 million. I think I did, so I won't tell you again. And we went back to the Levante well, though. We enjoyed signing Abraham so much that we've gone back and signed their best defender as well, Alvaro, 24-year-old Spanish former under-21 international. Another example of a player who's just been playing very well for a team that's been challenging us for the last couple of years, and we've just nabbed him away from him. Comes in as our best centre-back now, can partner Woodenberg at the back. Sanya's also signed a contract extension which has increased his release clause. I think we really are set for centre-backs now. Ventura needs to be watching his back a little bit, because he might actually end up being one who doesn't quite make it. So, interestingly, Levante want him. I wouldn't be averse to letting him go. Also, Horvath is probably on his way out of the club as well. Still no joy signing a left back. The Henrique deal did fall through once. I have reignited it again. We have no money at the moment, but I'm hoping if we can sell Horvath, maybe sell what's his face as well, the defender whose name I already can't remember, Ventura. I'd like to move either Valentini or Alvarez on. Alvarez isn't going to bring in enough money probably, but he's unhappy. But he's got a £7.5 million release clause, which I will try again to push him out. Valentini, if we bring Henrique in, obviously isn't going to get any game time. We'll have Abraham and we'll have Henrique ahead of him. But it's a risk letting him go before we've brought in his replacement. And I don't want to really upset him, but there are clubs interested in him. They all want him on loan, though. I think we'll offer him out and see what happens. But I don't want to move him on until I know we're definitely going to have enough money to bring in Henrique as a replacement for him. And we're still working on a 30% transfer revenue thing. So we have to sell a lot of players to be able to bring in another one. And Henrique's awkward because we can't get him on the Never Never. We're having to find £13 million up front. Oh, hang on. What's this? We have clauses to sell. Clauses, eh? Let's sell some clauses and make some money this way. Yes, we're just going to sell all the clauses. I want money now. We're trying to put together a team that can win La Liga, and I think we need this striker as a final piece of the jigsaw. There's loads of clauses to sell. I'm not even reading them. I don't care. I just want to sell clauses. Give me monies. What else have we got here? Sell clause. I should really do the don't show this message again thing. Sell clause. Don't show this message again. Is that all of the clauses sold? How much money have we got now? Oh, I mean, that didn't bring in very much money at all. That feels a little bit like a waste of time. But let's not worry about that. Lots of money came in. Excellent stuff. Some of them, quite a lot of money. Further developments to follow. Well, it looks like the Henrique move might be over because Barcelona have now met his release clause as well. Maybe we should have brought him in first. Although we're still working, it's still a confirmation for. Oh no, it's just a contract. I thought it was a confirmation. So he's going to go to Barcelona. The offer has come in for Ventura, but not enough. They need to offer us more money than that. Come on now. Horvath turned down a move to Middlesbrough. Yeah, we want more money. He's got lots of potential. We want more money for this guy. We don't necessarily need. Well, we don't want. We're not going to get anywhere near his release clause, but they certainly need to be giving us a decent chunk of cash, which they don't really seem that keen to do. Let's keep pushing them and see where we end up. I'm definitely resigned to letting him go, but let's just see where we meet. I'd like £5 million now, please. How has it now got to the point where I need to make them an offer? Fine, give me £5 million up front. Let's see what happens there. I don't understand how that twisted around and got away from me. Scouting meeting stuff. Henrique's going to go to Barcelona, so we no longer want to sell Valentini because we need him as a backup. Gould is already in, and there's still no left backs. Still no left backs. Now we have a gamble because we've got decent offers in for Valentini. We have an offer in for Ventura as well from Levante now. Oh. But Henrique's going to go to Barcelona. I just know he is. Is there any way to offer him more money? No. We can't fiddle with his contract anymore now. He agreed our terms. We delayed him 3 times until the deal fell through because we delayed it so many times. But Barcelona will obviously offer him more money. But I think we have to see how this pans out. They're both non-negotiable. You know what? We're going to accept them both. But we're not going to sell him unless we get the confirmation for Henrique and we can delay it a week and then sell him in the gap in between. That's the plan now. I feel like I'm gambling. I don't like it. Nobody wants Horvath. Why does nobody want this tool bag? Leave. You're not wanted here. Transfer list. Just get out. Get out of my club, you idiot. We need the money for you. And we've got a player who's good in the youths, which, I mean, that's like saying snow is cold here at Sevilla. Well, Henrique's gone to Barcelona. I get the feeling that he's going to come back and bite us over and over again, and he will be forever referred to as the one that got away. I wonder if they want to loan him to us immediately. No. Forevermore, we'll know we signed the wrong one. I hope we didn't sign the wrong one. So, what was going on here? There's offers in for Horvath. I mean, we may as well still get rid of him. We don't want him, but now we don't want to get rid of Valentini. We need to keep Valentini around and just What's he doing? Why is he trying to bring him in again? I told you to do that months ago. We're not letting you go out on loan. Alvarez. I mean, now they're all leaving. If these bids had come in 3 weeks ago when we had the deal for Enrique lined up, oh, I'm so annoyed. Right, where's Valentini? We don't want to sell him now. Unless, is there another superstar striker that I'm not aware? Why am I trying to bring in another striker? I don't even know why I've gone down this road. No, so we now want to keep Valentini. So cancel that deal. He sticks around. I hope I've not upset him too much by messing him around. He's resilient. He's been replaced before. Alvarez is leaving though, and that does leave us a little bit light for strikers. We're going to have... What are we going to have? Abraham, Valentini, and then 2 wingers who can play up front. I'm not sure how comfortable I am going into the season with just 2 strikers. Who have we got in the B team who's a striker? You, Sebastian, you're 16. Are you any good? I need another striker. How has it come to this? Are you any good? Are you cheap? How cheap are you going to be? That's not cheap, is it? No, we don't want you. Oh. I'm so annoyed at the order things have happened in. They've ruined me. Slight problem. Valentini is now disappointed, frustrated, in fact, at not being able to join Shakhtar Donetsk, and is now handed in a transfer request because he wants to go and play for Shakhtar. So I promised I'd offer him out again. So I guess we'll offer him out again. I don't want to lose him. We don't have a striker. I've tried to get too clever with this transfer window, and it's absolutely backfired. Oh, no. Right. What have we got as strikers? He was too expensive. We can't afford him. Can we get him on loan, I wonder? If you're on the transfer list there, no, you don't let him go on loan. Well, that seems unreasonable. Oh, dear. Perhaps we shouldn't have signed that defender that we didn't need. Ugh. Are you any good? Apparently you are. We need to scout you a little bit more. But where are you? You. Who else wants you? That's a good indication of how good you are. Nobody any good. Why doesn't anyone any good want you? Are you any good or not? Answer my question. We're already scouting you. Well, this seems very efficient. We might buy him. This is getting ridiculous now. Because he's now on the transfer list, the offers are smaller. I mean, I'm not accepting any of those offers. Because they're all lower than the ones we just withdrew from. I don't care that he's now unhappy. I'll keep an unhappy player. I'll have to dig my heels in here. I cannot let him go for less than the offers that we'd already accepted 3 days ago and then pulled out of, and we couldn't get the player that we wanted. I tried to mess him around, and now he's messing me around. This is player power. This is troubling. We lost another young striker, Alvarez. We knew he was going. He's gone to Atletico Bilbao, or Athletic Bilbao for £7.5 million. Another one, similar to Dominguez, who we made a big profit on. I mean, this is, for a club that is struggling for money, it's not a disaster to bring him in cheap, sell him on expensive. We tried to do it again with Carr, but he's rejected a contract offer, mainly because we've offered a huge amount of money to this guy, a central midfielder, Vitor Hugo Atz, who we've offered £125,000 a week for. The board will let us pay it. If we can get him in, he would be our best midfield player. And bearing in mind, Paul O'Neill is already our best player. That is saying something. He's a cheap transfer fee, but an expensive salary. The only problem is Juventus are in for him as well, and there are other clubs interested. If we can get him... Oh, and look, Barcelona have turned up as well. Oh, Kev's after a player, is he? Interesting. You should have just given me the job, you morons. But if we can get him, it's a quality signing. If we can't, we go back in for Carr, the young striker that we were talking about before. And just, even if he doesn't come in to be a player who's going to make a difference for us this season, we come bring him in and try and churn him the way we have Dominguez and Alvarez to bring in a big chunk of cash for us, which would be nice. Ho, 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 here he comes. Let's see if he's going to be as good as we think he is. Horvath's leaving as well. He went to Atletico Madrid in the end, the guy we were trying to bring in earlier in the season. Ramirez, I don't really want to let him go because we've just let Horvath go, although can Ats play as a defensive midfielder as well? He can. I mean, it wouldn't do Ramirez harm to go out and have a season playing regularly on loan for somebody. You know what? If they're going to pay his wages and he's going to play and they don't want a future fee, he can go out on loan. I don't know who Moises Lopez is. Surplus requirements, so he can definitely go. We also lost our third choice goalkeeper again. Actually, I thought we had. He was probably registered for one of the young teams. £5 million he's gone somewhere. How do we even see the ones who've gone to the youth team players? If we go to them, can we see their transfers? There he is, Eric Aguila, who, there you go, he's gone. But I'm not that bothered. It was our third choice. It brings a little bit more money into the club, which is handy. And let's just hit continue and have a look to see if this Brazilian lad is as good as I hope he is. We've taken a massive risk offering him the amount of money that we've offered, mainly because I'm on tilt after missing out on one Brazilian this summer, and I wanted to bring one in who's just going to be a superb player. I would have rather had a striker, but if we've just assembled a world-class young midfield with him and O'Neill together, and Moreno behind, I can live with that. Abraham, the new striker, is one of the favourites to be top scorer in La Liga this year. You don't see that with Henrique. So if this guy's good, I'm going to be very happy. We've not lost any of the top players at the club, so we have strengthened the team. I just need to see how good this guy is, and the game is teasing me by not showing me straight away. And now it's saving. Right, here we go then. This is how good he is. £4 million. What a steal. Vitor Hugo Ats, 2 appearances for Brazil already, 1 goal. Can play anywhere in the midfield, but he's going to play in the centre of our midfield. And he is. Oh, look at that. Look at those 2 in the middle there. Leading player for most La Liga sides. Is he still young enough to be classed as a Brazilian wonder kid? No, but he is a perfectionist. A volatile, confrontational perfectionist. It's a combination of characteristics, that's for sure. But he is the best midfield player at the club. If we have a look at that team report again, Paul O'Neill saying, hang about, I'm the best midfield player at the club. That is a good midfield that we've got there now. We've got a good striker. We've got good wingers, although Pozo is on the decline. But Montero's there ready to step in. Gould is here on loan as well, ready to step up. Alvaro, I said we might regret bringing him in, but he is better than anyone else we already had. It's looking like a good squad. We do need to... We're spending a lot of money on the new boy. Do that, and we're still not quite there. We need to sell another player. And Horvath left as well, so that's even with selling him. We still need to sell players. All of which brings us to the end of what I guess has to go down as a successful transfer window in the end. We've signed 3 very good players who improve the core of the team. A striker in Abraham, a defender in Alvaro, and a midfielder in Ats. We've moved on players who we didn't really need or weren't going to be using straight away. Dominguez, Jovic, Alvarez, Horvath. We've officially only spent a net £2.5 million over the course of the summer. Well, that doesn't tell the whole story because we've ruined the wage budget, and we've also sold in fact, we've made a transfer profit if you count the goalkeeper from the B team, which I think goes into our budgets, or else why am I sending players to the B team and then letting them be sold? Or else that could be a disaster. I think it comes back into our budgets. I'm sure somebody will enlighten me. But I think that's a good transfer window. It would have been nice to bring in another striker and move what's his face on, the backup striker now. Why can't I remember my players' names? This is ridiculous. Valentini, that's his name. But all in all, I think that is a pretty decent looking side. Moreno is going to be injured for the first couple of weeks of the season, as is Pozo. So it's not quite the full strength team, but this is the team that we play in the first day of the new season, and it looks pretty decent. Markovic in goal. Centella's back in at left back. We've got Calvillo knocking around as well. He might end up taking over, but he's not quite the high potential superstar as some of the other youngsters we've got. So I think ideally it would have been nice to bring in a left back. We've still got a week of transfer window left, but we've got no money to do any more business. So unless my director of football steps up and brings in a loan, we're going with Centelles. We haven't had a single loan arranged by my director of football this summer either. I've had to do this all myself. I feel abandoned. But Centelles, Alvaro, Woodenberg and Rodriguez is our back four. Atz is going to be playing as the holding midfielder initially. He's going to be earmarked for there with O'Neill there, Moreno there. That's the long-term plan. But for now, with Moreno injured, Atz can drop back, or Mosca could drop back, or Mateus could drop back. Or, what's his face? McCrory could play there because that is another position he's quite comfortable playing in. I think he's a natural there as well. He is. So he could sit and play there if need be. Now, he's not a first choice automatic selection in our back four. So there's plenty of options to play there. We'll go with Atz initially and then work out what the best thing to do while Moreno is injured over the first few games. And then a front three of Garcia, Abraham and Gould. So Gould gets the nod ahead of Montero on the right-hand side of midfield, mainly because he's a goal-a-game player for us in that one game he played. But Pozo obviously will come back in soon enough. Montero's still knocking around as well. Valentini could play out there if need be. We've got lots of options in these positions, and I think it's a really strong-looking team, solid-looking squad. I don't think there's a huge weakness anywhere in it, apart from maybe a question mark at left-back. But we've got a decent left midfielder in front of him and a world-class midfield ahead of that. So I think we're in with a chance for a good season. If you have enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.